Thank you for being here.
Edmon, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Elise, Amidon. So how did we get to this point, right? How did we got linked up through Sandra? Yeah.
Shout out to Sandra. Thank you very much.
Yeah, through a mutual friend. So Sandra told me you were starting a podcast, and you're putting yourself out there, and I watched your first video, and I think I already told you this, but I appreciated the effort. Not a lot of people put themselves out there. So what made you do that first video?
Honestly, well, let's just say probably the lockdown and the second lockdown just kind of drove me a little mad. And then as things started, I guess, accumulating with everybody, I don't know, just everything. I needed to. I felt this crazy urge to get up at 5 a.m., put my little Dollar General tripod with light with my phone and just do it. And I didn't want to be all fixed up. I just kind of wanted to do it from the heart. I even briefly kind of said that I wasn't going to let my anxiety stop me from doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I have big dreams. And if I just kind of waste around, then I won't be able to do anything. So I had to put myself out there. And it didn't matter in what form. It was just, this is what I want to say, and it's going to get better, and my voice will be louder.
It came through for sure. I watched the entire thing. I think it was maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15.
No, it was a great first cut. I think it all came through. It came really genuine. I think I told you this before. And I like the direction you were going. What I did want to tell you, though, is first thing you did was you killed comments. And I don't know if that was intimidation of what people would say.
I didn't even know I did
you
that.
Were worried about it.
No, it helped me enable comments, please.
Yeah, so we'll do that for your next videos. But I feel like building a community, you want feedback. You want people to not
100%.
tell you what your direction your show should go, but kind of just, I don't know.
Oh, no, I love constructive criticism.
Right.
That's what I look at it like. If someone's saying, oh, blah, blah, I mean, other people might look at it as a bash or, oh, no. I look at it I'm going to take that constructive criticism and I'm going to apply it to my next project because, it's kind of a group thing. It's not just a solo person doing. No, you have to take in comments. You have to ask support from friends. You have to kind of build that and have that to be a topic,
So not just a podcast, but you're getting into comedy too. So that's kind of
that's what's my root of all.
So you're using the podcast to project your comedy, or is it kind of like a side project and your comedy is going to be its own thing?
Unfortunately, since the comedy clubs are closed and there's not a way to do open mics, I figured at least get my name out there with my podcast, and people can actually get to know me by what thoughts I have. And as time goes on, I'll be able to do my live shows and put them on my podcast.
And that's obvious because of COVID. You can't perform. There's no open mics. There's no bars to go to. There's nothing. Typically, if you wanted to do this, there'd be 10, 15 open mics you can have.
Actually, I heard some comics that are kind of renting out yoga studios to do shows. There's people that's innovating this. And that's why I wanted to do that with my living room. It's just I'm going to make my living room into a comedy club then. I can fit up to 9 people comfortably, no problem. And that's fine. For me starting out, that's all I'll need.
And that's the next phase. You built up your house to kind of be a makeshift studio / performing area?
Yes, and my podcast studio. Right. I took my son's little desk and just sat, I have a nice area for podcasts. I have a backdrop set for the stand-up, and I'm just going to be ambiguous with it.
That's awesome. That's essentially what I did here. I started my vinyl work, and then I started the clothing company and the little studio here. Right. There's a backdrop for photography.
We're entrepreneurs, man. Yes.
You got to be resourceful. That's the big thing right now.
Exactly. That's why I even picked the name Woke Ass Podcast, was because WAP was one of the most Googled words in 2020.
WAP. Right.
Cardi B.
Right.
WAP.
So Woke Ass Podcast. That works. No, I like the abbreviation. Yeah. So tell me. So you had a post that blew up on your Facebook that you had this marketing idea you wanted to do.
Yes. Well, I wanted to take. It doesn't even matter who in a way. I just needed someone to draw Woke Ass Podcast on my bum, and then I would post it on Instagram to kind of promote my page, my podcast, and what else better than to use your own bum, right? Especially if you have a good bum, then show your bum.
No, I think it works. Leveraging the fact that you're a female in a male-dominated space, podcast and comedy.
Oh yeah, I'm going to use sex sells, right? Sex sells. I will go beyond normal means to kind of get it out there. I'll go in a bikini and do stand-up. I mean, I'm just saying, I will think outside the box to promote, to kind of get the people going in. And I mean, they may be able to look at me at first, but then, yeah, I'm always constantly surprising people. So I love it. I love it.
You're going to go into like comedy, like most women go into it, like almost like women can't be funny, make me laugh.
Right.
Right. Because a man coming up is very confident. You're like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. But when, for some reason, when a woman goes on a stage and she's being a comedian, you think girls can't be funny. I've heard this like countless times, and I'm sure you've heard it
1,000 times. Oh yeah, especially about talking about politics. No one wants to hear about a good-looking woman talk about politics unless it's on Fox News. But no, I'm definitely very educated on certain stuff, even briefly. But I can make it funny. I mean, I have some really probably morbid dead parent jokes, but guess what? Both my parents died, and I take whatever I've gone through life and I make it funny. Oh, wow. All of these are true stories. Everything that's in my jokes and my act, all of it has been happening to me. I don't have to fabricate this. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not going to let what's happened to me just, I'm going to make the best out of it. So I took every scenario as for what it was. I wrote about it, put a funny twist. And I mean, right now I have at least a whole garbage like plastic bag full of just little bits of jokes, everything here.
All right, so tell me this. I've heard like the phrase that not just interesting people, but like comedians in general, most of them come from like troubled past, troubled youth.
The most fucked up comedian. I'm sorry.
You can cuss on that. That's fine. The most fucked up people typically come from troubled backgrounds. I'm not saying yours was troubled.
No, not really.
The fact that you just told me that you lost both your parents, I'm like, and she's still trying to like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. What really was harder was my brother became a drug addict when he was 14 and I was 5. He started smoking crack at 14. So my brother, and I mean, believe me, my brother is somebody that could have been with Brad Pitt, all the good-looking movie stars. Wow. But he ruined his life doing drugs. So I took that as an example not to do drugs. Like I smoke pot. I mean, I have a little fun here and there, but nothing to the extreme of what most people are unfortunately struggling through. So a lot of my comedy has to talk about, the drug addiction. And I mean, I put a funny twist on it, but the thing is just so many Americans are dealing with that, or at least have dealt with somebody that's dealing with that. So I want to be able to kind of bring all sides of the corners into my comedy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and no one else can honestly know it better than me. And it's funny because I have a bit that talks about, a family of a loved member. You're almost as sick as the drug addict, and you don't even have to fucking do drugs. Mm. And I'm thinking, like, what? So I'm the one that's facing all this anxiety, all this lost money, and I'm not the one that's even getting high? Come on, Yeah.
I've not experienced it, but I've experienced a similar situation, and making light of it helps. So what's your background outside of doing this podcast and comedy? How did you start? What's your little story?
Okay. The time I guess
maybe like work wise. Like how did you get into like
comedy?
Being, like, well, not comedy, but I guess
I mean, I've had all jobs, honestly. I've always kind of did my own thing. I did clean homes. I used to dance at gentleman clubs to get by. I mean, I've kind of done it all in a sense. I was taking care of my parents before they passed away. Like, I was helped taking care of my mom.
What happened to your parents?
My dad passed away 5 years ago from U of M. Pretty much, they gave him a dialysis when he had an infection, and it flushed the infection throughout his body, and he died of sepsis. Okay. So it was kind of like a malpractice. Yeah. And then my stepmom didn't get an autopsy, so it's hard to like really, go back, and he's cremated. So what are you going to do, right? Right. And then my mom passed away from breast cancer 4 years ago, which was a year after he passed away. She had stage 4, and it was really bad. She had like cancer 3 times. So my dad passed when I was 7 of stomach cancer. So absolutely, I don't just ask you to kind of dig in. I genuinely. I'm an open book, sir. Yeah. No, I'm just curious to experience another person with a parent loss. Believe me, like most of my friends were like the dead dad squad. Okay. Like we were saying, right? The most interesting people have stories to tell. Let me see. I'm sure people don't want to just look at me, so I move this really quick so that we get it. Can you get a both shot of both of us? Yeah, I was gonna say I think we'll just move it this way.
What's funny is people are getting like an early podcast preview.
Exactly.
So a lot of my buddies, they're like, what are you trying to do with this pod? Not like you, but me particularly. What are you trying to do, right? So I just wanted to start this to have interesting conversations with people that I either just met or have known. I have a lot of friends who are like in business, entrepreneurs, different kind of like stories, different backgrounds. I want to have them on and just tell their story. So I'm really glad that Sandra hooked us up because
Me too.
I'd like to get your story out there, help you promote, and vice versa, right? So like you have an audience that you've reached, and we can kind of work together.
Well, I'm very big on health and fitness. I mean, honestly, my mom was always into holistic healing. She didn't believe in Western medicine. So I'm definitely all for, I think exercise is probably one of the best things to do for someone's body because you have so much pent up aggression, so much pent up anxiety. And if you don't work that out, you take it out on other things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think keeping the body moving keeps like the mind from being too stagnant. I think if you're in your own head too much and you don't move your body, you just
well, you got to think if someone was chasing you, half the people couldn't like run for their lives. They would be out of breath.
Oh, you
and
mean like physically?
That's what
absolutely.
I mean. Like you need to be physically active because you don't know whatever could happen. Really though, never.
So relating that to like current events, right? They've never with the COVID situation. I think we're both in the same.
Oh yeah, I said that
wavelength on that. They never push health and fitness. They always push put your mask on. Do what you're told.
They really cared. They would send everybody $100 voucher to have home cleaning, send some antibacterials. They would send a thermometer. I mean, if they really cared, people would have home packages. There would be other ways to help because sanitation is what really keeps a lot of these diseases at bay, if you think about it.
But we're never going to be free of diseases. There's always going to be.
Exactly. But we got to, they can't tell me if I don't know. They just can't tell me.
Why is Sandra calling me right now? You were screwing up the podcast.
Well, if you can put her on, say hi.
Oh, Jack says, why are we looking at you and not the hot chick? Let's see. Sandra.
Uh-oh, the camera.
Sandra.
Can't be either one of you now.
What are you talking about? Oh.
You can't be either one of the two.
What are you talking about? I was
She
looking at
can't.
the screen. Well, now we can't. All right, well, let me hang up with you. You're literally calling me.
That's why we need production people here, damn it.
All right, let you go. I don't know if we're still on. Are we still live? All right, we're going to zoom this in because Jack told me that he wants more of the guest than less of them.
Okay.
All right, Jack, is that better? Can you post up, buddy? All right.
Good, and it's on my good side.
It's good enough.
Thank
So,
you.
anyways, we're recording. If you guys don't like the... Oh, is that why? If you guys don't like the view or the audio, watch the video when it gets posted. This is just like a down and dirty, like, live. Like, we'll figure this out later. This is not the podcast. This is just live. That's why Sandra called me.
Thank you, Sandra.
All right. So, where were we? So COVID issues and conspiracy theories.
I like Dr. Shiva. If you guys ever heard of Dr. Shiva, he's the inventor of email. He was running at Senate in Massachusetts. I mean, the guy is brilliant. And I mean, he's been on that from like from the beginning of just
like
how
health and fitness forward.
Yes, and I mean just how certain things were not taken in the correct way. And I mean, but who would have known? Because this is a first disease. No one knew how to handle it, blah, blah, blah. Right. But just the inconsistencies makes whatever source that this is coming from just baseless, I feel like. And everything, if you follow the money, everything has something connected with that goes to China or whatnot. And I mean, it's just, you have to really look at all aspects of it. And that's why I always say, follow the money.
My big thing always with COVID was we know it's a thing. We absolutely needed to initially go overboard in protecting because we didn't know what this was. Was this the Black Plague? Was this going to kill, 10, 15% of the population or was it not?
Well, they hoped it was.
And we realized that it was not what we thought it was.
No.
And here we are almost a year out, and I have a lot of friends who have business, who have restaurants that are shut down. Luckily, my family's business has been thriving because we've been allowed to operate.
Right.
But if my family's business was told, do not operate, close your doors, you can't do business, like, I don't know what I would do. I'm definitely not as patient as some of these restaurant guys that are...
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because my third episode is going to talk about how to combat the lockdown. And I mean, I have like a little list.
Here's the thing.
Of three. Well, I'm just saying.
You mean you combat. That's very aggressive verbiage.
Okay.
Like, what do you mean combat?
I'll rephrase that. On one of the list, I said, don't buy certain products like Lotto, because you got to figure the beverage people like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they're hurting a little bit with these shutdown. But if you completely stop buying out certain things that they have leverage with the government, you could probably work it through. So if you stop buying Lotto tickets, if you maybe stopped buying certain products, I mean, just everybody boycott certain products.
Sure.
You can have a voice with your wallet.
So let me explain to you.
I know I should probably not say combat.
No.
Maybe,
I'm just telling you, consumers, what they're purchasing right now is me being in the retail. Liquor sales are up almost 200%. Beer sales almost 200. Lottery sales through the roof. People have more money in their pocket, but it's a fake economy. It's a very
fake.
It's a very I don't know what you want to call it. Raised up economy, like a false economy, and at some point the bottom's going to fall out. People have no jobs, they're not working, but they're spending more money than they've ever spent. PS5 has been sold out for 3 months. It's a $500 system.
That's why you learn a skill. You make yourself a valuable asset through society by learning a skill. I mean, I do men's haircuts, I can do massages, I have everything to like make it through life, and I don't care. I don't need a job on paper to make money. You have to hustle in whatever way. I don't care if it's doing paintings or any of that. Like, you really have to just think outside of the box, outside of that degree, outside of that certificate, outside of what, your family or people would pretty much, want you to be. But like I said, as long as you have like little things to make you even gardening. I mean, come on, people should start growing their own food nowadays, because you got to figure what's wrong with all this.
Well, that's
food.
what people thought. People, like all the doomsday preppers thought that they should have had all this ready to go, and that the economy was going to crash. You couldn't get food at the grocery stores. You would have a supply of guns, all sorts of ammunition.
Right.
It didn't pan out, right? The what are they
but
called?
Who's to say it wouldn't, though?
The pandemic didn't go that far.
Who's to say that won't happen in the next 10
Well, the only
years,
reason
though?
it didn't happen is because we had this like false injection of funds that everybody got, extra bonuses in their unemployment and stimulus. People had more money than they knew what to do with. Yeah, so people that weren't making that kind of money were making that money for weeks at a time, months at a time.
I lost out, honestly. That unemployment and all that did not help me. I would have made more working.
I like everything you're saying. I like that you're like questioning things, because everybody that just kind of goes along with the status quo is.
Well, I know from firsthand experience that the news and everything leaves certain things out before they make a story. And I mean, I was one of them. They put in the newspaper one time that when I shot somebody, I just shot them and that was that. But they forget to leave out that this person chased me into my apartment before putting their body through my windshield.
What are you talking about?
Is
this a real thing? Or is
this
like
is a real thing. This is a real thing.
This isn't an article you read that you're talking about.
This is not an article I read. I was honestly in the news.
All right, start from the beginning.
Okay. December 18th of 2016, 17. I don't even know. I'm really bad with time these days. Honestly, I just don't even. But anyway,
okay.
I'm going to the gym. My ex, which is my son's father, he had to be there for a certain case, which I won't go into. But let's just say that my ex was there, and a guy that I was just starting to see, he was there. So the night before, they went out, had a bender, pretty much, doing their thing, and I woke up, grabbed my keys, and I was going to the gym. He follows me like, hey, what are you doing, blah blah blah, and I was pretty much like, fuck you, bye bye, like, I'm going. So he runs up my my hood, puts his body through my windshield, and it's crazy because my ex, the guy that was in that's at the house too, he did that to me when I was like freaking 8 months pregnant. So that it just scared me. Like, I was like, what the hell? And I had a lady there at Green Tree's apartment. She was smoking a cigarette. She seen the whole thing. So I get out of my car like, you're a fucking asshole, and just run into my apartment. And he's chasing me. Like, he chases me. So I get my gun. I grab the ex. I'm like, come on, we're going. And we're going to my car. And the guy that did that approaches me. And before you know it, I pulled my gun out, and the gun went off. I shot him, felt bad, took him to the hospital. And then the police got a hold of me, and then I was like, okay, I will talk to the police.
Well, you can't glance over the fact that you shot somebody. Where did you go? Slow down.
Okay.
What?
Yes.
Slow down.
He was
go
across
before
from
you
the car.
shoot a guy.
Yeah, I shot him, and that's the thing. Like,
where?
Right.
So you grazed him, or you shot
It grazed him. I shot him, but it was like the
Were you trying not to maim him? Were you trying to shoot
I wasn't
off
really
of
trying
him?
to aim him. It was just the fact that he came approaching me. Kurt was there talking with him. I honestly thought it was like a setup. I swear to God, I thought they were both going to try to set me up. Because it was just crazy how how those little weird incidences that no other human being would done had happened to me. And I mean, they were together, and I mean, they did the like a piss test or whatever on the guy. He had cocaine in his system. He had Adderall, like alcohol, and so forth, other things.
Okay, right. So he wasn't in the right state of mind at all.
He was
in
not
all
in the
sorts
right
of
state
fucked
of
up state of mind.
Exactly. And I felt bad because I wasn't even trying to kill a guy.
Right.
Like, believe me. But the thing was, I was scared for my life at this point.
Sure.
And I mean, because I'm a woman, and he's 6'5", maybe 6'6", and the other, my ex, is like 6'3", 6'4", and I've had 3 PPOs on this guy. This guy is psycho. Okay.
This is the guy who attacked you, not your ex.
My ex is psycho.
Oh.
I had 3 PPOs on my ex.
Fair enough.
So at the position I was in with him, and then they're both approaching me, I shot him, but I didn't want to kill him. So I pulled him in the car and went like 90 on Fort Street and took him to the police station. And this girl, Heather, that I knew from Downriver High School, she was in the waiting room. So she was able, when the police or whatnot, she was able to be like, yeah, that's Elise Amidon. And then the police called me, and I'm like, yeah, of course I'll talk to you guys. You know, like I was just like attacked.
Yeah.
Scott, I had my gun, but the problem was I didn't unload my weapon before taking him to the hospital, and that's the only felony they charged me with.
Jesus.
So I take him in, I talk to the police, and before you know it, they have like 8 felonies trying to charge me with, one of them being attempted murder. And the problem is my brother, how I told you my brother's a drug addict. He pretty much made the family and all, like they were at our house once or twice a week just of all the bullshit. So the police never liked our family from the beginning.
Okay.
And I know why.
So you guys were always blacklisted.
Oh man. What started it was my uncle had a party shop, and my dad stole the lotto tickets, and my uncle reported it, but he didn't follow like charges
Party
because
shop
of my
means
mom.
like a liquor store?
Yep, this was right there off West Jefferson, right across from the toll bridge.
Okay. Yeah,
Or the free bridge, I want to say.
Yeah,
One of the two.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then my uncle confronted my dad and hit him with like a little mini baseball bat. And my dad, of course, the police are involved, but my dad didn't want to press charges. So the police just hated our family ever since that incident happened. So the fact that I was dealing with police that hated me and my family, and I mean, I only have like a seatbelt ticket. I don't have any like criminal history really to put me as like where I have to be in such defense, because I was like, hey, I will make a statement. Wrote out a statement. They're like, yeah, we're gonna charge you with like attempted murder, a felonious assault, all these crazy things. And thankfully I had a great boyfriend at the time from London that paid for my court cost and all of everything as far as that goes, plus a very good lawyer. So David Bogart, shout out, best lawyer in Michigan. And I mean, I owe that man my life, but my trial, I wish I had it like on video, or if you can get it on video. It's something you would see out of like Law and Order.
All right, I'm going to tell you one thing real quick just by listening to that story. You're going to do just fine having a solo podcast where you just riff. You just go off onto the camera and into the microphone. You're going to have no issues there. Issue I'm having is reeling you in and organizing the thoughts, because you were like a stream of consciousness that's just like difficult to restrain.
I usually have a notebook with me so we can at least go with points or stuff to stay organized. That's why I stay organized, because I am just a one-woman show.
No, I've hit all my points that I wanted to hit with you.
Okay,
and now like the fact that you dropped that bombshell that you shot a guy, your family history, court issues.
Yeah, and this happened this happened in December, and my mom died in April. So this was like right after losing my mom. I mean, I had one crazy year. I can say that. That was like nuts. But anyways, going on from that, why was I explaining that story again?
Because I asked you how you shot the guy.
Okay.
And then it went into court issues.
So yes, but okay, no, now I know it. Okay, the news painted me to be horrible. I feel like the police department photoshopped my picture because I look like a gremlin. I don't even look nice. It looks horrible, so please don't watch it. So please don't look it up. But yeah, the news really painted that picture though horrible. Like just, oh yeah, this woman, this Riverview woman, shoot some alleged boyfriend or whatever, how a strange boyfriend, blah, blah, and they never added any of that part of that guy chasing me in my apartment, putting his body through my windshield because I had a witness.
Sure.
And I mean, the woman had statements and everything. I mean, she talked to my lawyer. Like, this was no joke. Like, she's seen what he did firsthand. And they didn't say that.
It's all perspective. I think you know as well as I do that news is not. They're clickbaity right now. They want the most like.
Oh, it's worse since there's internet, and since they have their news mostly on the internet, I feel like they're just because you can't really promote the stuff that they do sometimes on a television compared to what you see on the internet. It's completely like black and white.
Yeah, somebody told me like years ago, like they've eliminated the threshold that news companies had to have sources, like valid sources, not from the the AP, Associated Press or whatever, that those would have legitimate sources. Now they don't require legitimate sources for these articles that they write, headlines they write. They can word them all sorts of ways. That's why you hear like fake news. That's why like Fox, CNN, ABC, NBC, they can have countering arguments because they no longer have to tell you the truth. They just tell you what they want to tell you.
Well,
that's not conspiracy. That's what it is.
No, I know. I like Tim Pool. I like We Are Changed with Luke. I like
so you don't listen to mainstream.
Abby
well,
Martin.
Nobody watches mainstream news, but okay. So how do you get your information?
Abby Martin, Tim Pool. Luke, like I just said. I forgot. It's like Kradowski. It's like a kind of a longer Russian name. I can't really pronounce it.
And there's your podcast, or there's like pages that just filter news.
Tim Pool is Tim Cast. He has like a podcast that he'll talk about current events with people. I want to say, who else did I? Whitney something. She goes on Tim Dillon once in a while, and she's like a journalist, like a real good journalist. She doesn't even live in the United States anymore. She's that good. And
she removed herself from the
she removed herself from America because she's that good.
And
you got to think Julian Assange, he was one of the best journalists. Chelsea Manning, she was one of the best journalists. And I mean, these people are being pretty much held in prison for whistleblowing. And I mean, free Assange and free pardon them. I mean, that's even Edward Snowden. I am for all of, and then free Ross, the guy that did the Silk Road. I believe all of those should be pardoned.
Do you believe like Snowden's not full of shit? Because I watched both his podcasts with Rogan, and I feel like this guy having no real like legitimate education. He came from like high school to kind of like a little bit of coding, hacking, and then CIA took him on board to like lead their like, I don't know, their information CIA front of like hacking people's phones. Like that just didn't make any sense to me. And he had no like backing to be like, this is my degree. This is what I had. I graduated here. He was just like, oh, I was good at coding, so they had me working for them.
I don't know enough to really have a based opinion on like his credentials exactly. But I mean, just the fact that at least
he was right. I mean, it came out as saying he was right at the end of the day.
The fact that he exposed something that was going on. The government denied it, but then it came out that they lied about doing it, which they then were really doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's something that like he should be thanked for in a sense, because really like we never thought as our privacy and our data being like an commodity now,
mm-hmm.
Or being something that's so it's nice that at least he spoke up, and I really would hope and encourage people that's on that side start speaking up, and at least let's try to make a right change. That's all I'm about. I want the whole industry, everything. I want it wiped clean. I feel like, we have a lot of talented people out there that deserve the movie screen compared to the bull crap that we're getting spit to. I mean, come on, especially like how many more Marvel movies are we gonna do? Like there hasn't been a good. I love them too, but you got to figure not every movie is a blockbuster now. Right. There's actually a lot of movies that came from good books. A lot of and I mean, I love movies. I used to be a movie buff, but in the last few years, they just haven't been producing shit. Everything just seems
everything. They're rebooting everything. Well, but is movies still a thing? Here's the thing: do you still go to the movie theater, especially after COVID? Post-COVID. Movie theaters are dead, right? I have a bigger TV in my living room than like you used to have in your 90s, right? So you don't need to
we can't pause it, take bathroom breaks. It just keeps going.
The popcorn's not as good. Yeah, I get it, but
I think it's something that's just kind of like a generational thing. I mean, our family or our parents.
Was it a group thing? Like you would go with your siblings and go to the movies? Like,
oh man, my parents. We used to do a thing called double feature, which we would go immediately to another movie right after we watched the other one. So we would get
pay for one and get the second. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
I don't think I've ever done it, but like I get.
That's what we would call it. We did the double feature at the movies as a family. My mom would bring her liquor. We would sneak in snacks. I mean, we were some serious. It's funny because my parents, they had this little thing that pretty much made stores start asking for receipts for returns. He had a little hustle, and I mean, my dad would make $1,000s a day.
Wait, say that again. He would ask. Oh, like he would grab a receipt and then
Or
go
well, you
back
know
and
how
return
nowadays you need your receipt, your
Right.
license, or something just to take
debit
something
card
back.
or something.
My parents are the reason for that, and I'll tell you what it is. Just give me 1 second.
That's funny.
So, what he would do is they would go to like the thrift store, Value World, okay, and they would buy really nice dress pants.
Now, are we far removed so they couldn't prosecute?
Oh, but my
you,
parents
or-
are both passed away, so come and get them, right?
All right, so go ahead.
So, yeah. Okay, he goes into the thrift store, picks out these nice pairs of pants, and then he would go into like Hudson's, JCPenney's, try them on, but then he would take his razor blade and he would take the tags off of them, rip all the tags. Then he would go back to the van and he would glue the tags on the pair of pants that he had bought
From the thrift store.
that replicated it the most. And I mean, and he was pretty precise. They would check what pants and then go find it at the thrift store. And then he would send my mom to take it back. And this time you didn't need receipts.
Right.
It was pretty much, she would send like 3 or 4 pairs of pants and they would get like $400 a time. And then, I mean, they would just hit the places all through the malls and before you, and I mean, for you, this was going on for years too.
All right, so you just outed your parents as like counterfeit artists.
Oh, dude,
but-
they're the best
But
carnival
they were,
artists.
they were resourceful. And if I could say anything about you telling me a little bit about your history, you are resourceful when you need to be.
Yeah.
Not saying you're some
He was
like,
a mechanic. My
fraudulent
father
person.
busted his ass on mechanics. And I mean, he could take apart like forklifts, semi-trucks. And I mean, the man was...
So he
could-
was skilled. He wasn't just some bum that was
my
trying to
God,
rip
my
people
dad was too skilled. That's the thing. You know how certain people are too smart for their own good?
Right.
You know, like a lot of the prison population are probably geniuses because, you know, they either got into drugs but they're too smart for their own good. So my dad, you know, he was somewhat of an alcoholic. Like he was a fun guy to be around. He was pretty much, he could have been a stand-up comedian. And I mean, the guys at the bar would just keep buying him drinks because they didn't want him to leave. And before you know it, my mom's like dragging him out of the bar and the guys are like crying over it. Like, no, don't take our gym away, blah, blah, blah. So my parents were like very personable people as it is.
It goes back to saying some of the most like hilarious people to me, even in my life, have come from the most fucked up backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, my dad grew up on a muck farm and his dad used to like beat him.
right.
You know, so everyone else has their... Like he was just the tears of a laughing clown, you know, and that's kind of how I look at myself.
So you're spinning it into this comedy career that you're going to try to do. So you were telling me, or I read somewhere, I'm sorry, that you wanted to go to Austin and kind of do that
Yes.
to move on.
Yes.
What's the projection? What's your
Well, the projection to go to Austin would be Joe Rogan's opening up a comedy club, and I want to get my little toe in the door. I don't care if I have to do open mics, clean bathrooms. I don't care if I have to work my way
you've
up.
gotta be
It
like
does
a door
not
person.
matter.
You've
It
gotta-
does
yeah,
not matter. And as that's going on, because it may take a year or so, from what I heard, they're trying to find location or trying to find a building. So it's in progress.
It's going to be a compound. Like I think he said he's buying 100 acres and building a compound on it.
That's what I mean in a way, like, and I want to take this time as that's being done to work on my material, promote on this podcast. I want to do stand up. So that's what the move is doing all that and going to Austin. And thankfully I have money coming from the IRS, from taxes or whatnot, that is going to get me my Jeep Grand Cherokee Altitude all black.
Just load it up and drive to
oh,
Texas.
dude, and my I'll have money for a home too.
That's awesome.
I have like 5 or 6 checks coming.
No, like just sitting across from
Yeah.
you have a mission, you're driven, you're resourceful.
This has all been in the works, and I knew I wanted to be a comic at 25. I wanted to be an author because I have so many ideas, and like you can see, like I'm just I have millions of passions. I wanted to be an author, but I watched a stand-up special by Bill Hicks, and it resonated with me like a lot. I mean, of course, this man is like what every other comic has built by, but no, truly, I felt that, especially when he talked about like mushrooms and things that I could relate to, and how the system is just becoming, like he was ahead of his time. And I really felt that. And before you know it, I'm writing jokes, and it's been going on for 5 years, and I haven't stopped.
So when you started, you didn't do open mics the last 5 years?
No, I didn't. I didn't think.
What was holding you back? You just
Well, my dad had just died and my mom was like dying. I didn't have the time to exactly promote any of that because I had to work as well to, afford my house.
Right. You got to set your hobbies or your passions.
And I have a
on the
son.
side.
I have a son.
Sure.
So I had to put all of that aside to take care of that. But then as time goes on, I thought I was going to, but of course I had the jail case, which, kind of held me back. And to be honest, it was horrible what had happened to me because the apartments let my ex into the place. And I mean, he used that place as like an estate sale. My brother robbed me because my brother's still an active user. Yeah, he took my safe that had like over $10,000 worth of jewelry. My perfume set was like $4,000. Oh, I was kicked in the balls with it. My invisible balls.
So you've had to catch up.
But the thing that really mattered to me out of all of that was my jokes. Like, I didn't care what the hell they took. As long as I had my son, my dog, and my jokes, I knew I would be fine. That's my $1 million ticket. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and it was in like a grocery bag. So, of course, it didn't seem like anything valuable to take, which I'm grateful for. And that's really what gave me the second chance to do comedy again. And then, of course, coming from jail, I didn't have anything. I had to start fresh. I lived with a friend. And then through time, that friend kind of screwed me out of the living arrangement. She just decided not to pay rent. We got evicted. And it's funny because the day that I was going to go to Joe Rogan's comedy thing is when I got served the eviction papers.
Were you going to the comedy store?
No, I went to the Joe when he played at the Fox.
Oh, Fox, okay.
Yeah, like 2 years ago. Yeah, I got that on the same day, and I'm thinking like, no shit, man, no shit. So I had to fight an eviction. Then I found a place, thank God. Shout out to Michael Hibbs, my landlord, the nicest people, like his mother, nicest people. I was able to find a place because since that had happened with that incident with the thing, with the gun thing, Green Tree's apartments like evicted me when I was in jail.
Green Tree, where you at on?
That was my apartments I was living at.
No, I lived there too.
Oh God.
Was it in Southgate? Which one, on Allen or the one
Riverview,
on...
Fort Street and King.
Fort Street and King. That's the other ones. Okay, there were multiple ones. Yeah. I was ready
So they
to
put an eviction on my record. Plus, I have all these felonies showing up. Only though I'm charged with one, they still put all these felonies on my record. So I'm like nearly in my credit scores to shit because, of course, I had unpaid credit cards being in jail, everything gone up, then couldn't get paid. So I was screwed. Like, I didn't think I could move in anywhere. And these people, they were showing a nice duplex. I walked in, told her the truth, gave her the lingo and everything, and they took a chance, and I was able to move in December, and then before you know it, in March, COVID hits.
Right. Nobody was planning for that. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so it was almost, I would have started as soon as I could, but I wanted to be fully prepared. I wanted to learn everything I needed to know, because I'm not going to just really promote my work in a way without at least being more confident with art and stuff, because I do promote sometimes art, but that's a little different because I mean that's something that you can always kind of build on. But with comedy, as me talking, face to face and speaking and getting reactions, like that is a little bit something that I want to be more perfected on than just like a little piece of art that I'm showing.
Have you heard Kill Tony? Watch Kill Tony?
I love Kill Tony. Tony Hitchcliff is the man.
So your shows that you have at home, I feel like an open mic / Kill Tony setup where like you could be Tony Hinchcliffe, because obviously it's your show, you're running it.
I would love to have an open mic at my thing.
Go live with it and do not a 1 minute spot, but maybe a 5 minute spot for whoever wants to do it. But I feel like the pool of people who will have the ability to go up, even though like they're not going to be amazing, have people go up. But
if I knew more friends and had more comics and whatnot, I would. I know one other comic I knew. I met him, Matthew, for my gallery or for my comedy show gallery opening.
Yeah,
he came by and I never seen him perform because honestly, I wasn't exactly set up with my gallery. Sure. So most of the time I'm just sitting there hanging up paintings. And I mean, they could have started and went up with it, and I said I would open or close. It didn't matter. But I was just more focused on getting the setup because I didn't want paintings on the floor and people step on them. So I really wanted to make sure all the painting gallery was cool. And then I did like a 15, 20-minute set for a couple people before it was over.
And did you record this?
I did not record it. I was
How
pissed.
Did you not record it?
Honestly, because it was almost like so late at the night. It was like 1 a.m. And I was kind of wanting to like get fixed up a little bit. And I was like, yeah, let's hit record. But no one recorded it for me. You know what? And it don't matter because I'm going to do another recorded
How did
setup.
it go? Like you're rating the show yourself.
They said that
not just your stand-up, but the whole night, like overall.
Oh, how did I rate it? It was
because you can't rate your own stand-up. How'd you rate the night?
I rate the night a good out of 10. I would say a good 7.
Okay, well,
I found my son's dead hamster that night too, because I was like, yeah, let's bring the hamster out, you know, because here, like, this is the opening night, you know, the hamster needs to be around
hamster?
this. It was my son's hamster,
and it died that night.
I didn't know if it died that night, but that's when I discovered him dead. So I do have a dead body at my comedy show on the first night. So
Jesus.
Yeah, and then I laughed like, hey, at least to fame, we already sacrificed our one family member.
Elise, let me tell you this right now. I have to I'm gonna have to reel this in a bit. Like,
okay, reel it in.
You've hit me with a million things. I'm gonna tell you right now. You're gonna do well in whatever the fuck you're gonna do next. Whether it's podcast or comedy.
Anything.
Sitting across from you, just meeting you like an hour ago, you're like a mile a minute, and I'm just sitting here as an observer. And I almost feel like I'm a second guest on this podcast that you're hosting. Like, you're gonna do well.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on here. And
Thank you.
Do you want to plug anything? What's your social?
Wokeass Podcast is my channel on YouTube. I'm Elise Amidon on Facebook. I think you can find me on that name with Instagram.
And your YouTube, you started?
I started.
Okay.
There's only 2 episodes. The second one, forgive me. I didn't bring my cool tripod with me on the trip, so I had to like pretty much hold my phone and do a quick little episode, and I was kind of a little off on that, but I just at least wanted to get it out there. So, and the thing was, I was in Facebook jail, so I couldn't even promote it.
All right, so your actually official studio is being built or ready
it's pretty much completed.
So your next episode is going to be?
I'm probably going to go on tonight. And then I'm going to do a stand-up thing with recording tonight. I'm going to invite at least a couple people over to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't do it alone. Like, I need at least a few laughs in the background.
No, for sure. I was telling you earlier, you can't just record a stand-up to an empty room. You
No,
need
you can't.
something to bounce off of. So.
And I'm doing it with strangers in a sense because I want honest feedback. I don't want someone kissing my ass.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Elise, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Edmon.
I feel like we need another one of these at some point.
Oh, yeah, I'm down and do another one anytime soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.